Welcome back to Let's Make Art. We have one viewer.
Hello. Let me get on here so I can see questions.
Luckily, we have chips and water.
Hello. Dylan Ross says, hey, Sarah. Hello. Made it. Yes. We're here.
So did we.
So did we. Barely. A little late. But do you expect anything different from us? Probably not.
I choked on some water.
Okay. Are you okay?
Oh, yeah. It's just
Why is this stuck to the table?
drinking water. Because it's not smooth on one side. It's a completely different, it's brand new.
Okay. I just realized I need to have a blank postcard to paint on. So I'm going to go grab that really.
Okay.
I'll get mine.
There you go.
Okay. Thank you.
You're
Thank you, Nicole. Thank you, Kenyan.
Teamwork.
Okay. Angela says hello. Marcy says hello. Well, Marcy says hot. Well, thank you, Marcy. I think she's talking about the weather.
Way to take a compliment rolling now. That was that. Way to be.
Welcome, Janet, Donna, Kim. Okay.
I just wish once that I could find our live videos easily on YouTube.
I understand.
Can I have some of the colors you're using?
Yeah, these are all the colors. Howdy, glad you're late. Me too. Worked out.
Better late than never.
Okay. Ooh, I was just running around and it's rainy and kind of wet here and kind of a mess. That's okay. That's okay. Welcome everybody to our Let's Make Art Matter live paint along. Thank you so much for being here with us. We have Kenyan who's running our camera work.
Hello?
And we also have Nicole here. Can you see her? You probably can't see her.
Not quite. Can't
hear
see.
me.
No, not at all.
She's going to help me a little bit later on in this tutorial, so I'll bring her on in a little bit. Okay, so what we are doing this month for our Let's Make Art Matter is our recipient this month is Karen. And she lives in a small town, and she lives alone, and her daughter usually travels to see her, but because of COVID and the pandemic and all of these things, it's not really safe to travel and visit people. And so we just wanted to send her some love and make sure that she knows that people are thinking about her, and if she's feeling lonely, just to give her that little bit of comfort. The other thing is that she loves Missouri Star Quilting Company and is a huge quilter.
What?
Yeah, and Missouri Star Quilting Company is our sister company actually, and so I thought it would be so fun to actually paint a quilting pattern.
That's a fun pattern.
Yeah, is that fun?
Yes.
On the postcard. So that's what we're doing. I talked to actually someone who works for Missouri Star, and they told me that this is an hourglass pattern. Maybe I'll do overhead if that's easier.
Let me tell you a really quick secret.
Yeah.
I wasn't 100% ready for the overhead shot.
That's okay.
So let me get this situated. There we go. Okay, here we go.
We good?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So this is called an hourglass pattern, and it's pretty simple to make, and I actually just used a ruler you basically just do like squares. And if there's anything I learned from Missouri Star Quilt Company, it's like you can do so many different patterns with just a square, because I think that's their basic shape that they start with.
I wish I knew more so that I could support you with these facts.
That's okay.
Really sorry.
We're all learning here. This is a safe space of learning.
Learn it. We are a house of learned doctors.
Yes.
But we are currently learning.
So I also did it in a cool color story and also a warm color story. And you can see that just right now I got water on my warm color story, and that is why it kind of bled a little bit. But I actually think it's kind of beautiful.
It is cool.
So I'm not mad about it, but that's what happened there. So I thought it would be fun to show you guys how using different colors while you're painting is going to give you different feelings, right? So warm colors are usually red, orange, and yellow, and cooler colors are blue and green and purple. So those are the colors, the warm and cool colors. And then some people think that you should always stay in one color temperature when you're painting. But I don't think that that's necessary, personally.
No.
But I think it also just depends on what you're trying to communicate when you're painting. So if you're trying to, you know, have feelings of coolness, and like sometimes sadness is associated with blue, or peace or calm is associated with like blues and greens. You know what I mean?
That makes sense.
Yeah, and so you can go front facing. I just realized I'm talking a lot.
You're talking directly to the mat, and I thought that was a good spot to be.
But with, so that's just something to think about as you're going to paint something, which is what subject am I painting and what feelings do I want to convey in this painting that I'm about to do? Do I want to give off something relaxing and calming? Then you might want to stay towards maybe the cooler colors. If you want something that seems warm or active, or active as in, I'm trying to think of another word for it, busy, or just...
It's a warm color. I always think of red as like a little angry.
Yeah, I mean,
Kinda.
red
Not
can be
angry, but more aggressive.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I don't know if you have to associate
You
aggressiveness
don't have to.
with
It's
red.
just what I do.
So do you think McDonald's is aggressive?
Yes. They're always selling me McDoubles.
So I just want to put that out there, that you can use colors while you're painting to evoke an emotion or a feeling. And that choice is completely up to you guys. It's whatever you're trying to communicate with your painting. I mean, I'm sure some of you heard of Picasso's blue period, where he just painted everything in like different shades of blue, which is gorgeous. And so sometimes working with a limited color palette is really refreshing and interesting. Okay. Oh, yeah, somebody says passionate or vibrant or intense.
Those are much better words
Those-
than aggressive and angry.
I'm like, yeah, what feelings are you trying to communicate here? Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to put our layout down. I have a pencil and a ruler here that I'm going to use. Let me make sure I actually have a pencil. Yes, I do.
Okay.
I might need you to grab one.
Okay.
I was just using one.
Oh yeah, red equals energy. Perfect. And I would also like to point out, before we start this, that there is an address change on this. Thank you, Nicole. There's an address change on this postcard. We'll talk about that at the end. So we're going to paint our postcard first, and then we'll talk about the address change. Okay, so I have my postcard here, and I have my ruler, and basically what I did, just to simplify it for me, is I just used the width of the ruler to make my lines instead of being like every inch. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure this is actually probably close to an inch.
I mean, it should be.
Can you see this?
It's a ruler.
Am I in the overhead
Yes, you are.
spread? Okay, wonderful.
Well, now you are.
So I'm just going to go across and then move it up. Across, and then it should actually be fairly close to the edge. And I'm actually just going to leave that. Okay, and then I'm going to go put it the other way. So turn my card vertical and line it up. So I'm making like a checkerboard here.
We might be a little blurry due to the internet. Someone's asking on YouTube.
Oh yeah, the internet was being really funky today.
Yeah.
And then another one. And you'll see here that like you're gonna have not a perfect edge. Like we have a larger or a smaller chunk. It's not a big deal. Okay, it doesn't have to fit perfectly in the square. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do crisscross lines.
Applesauce.
I'm sure there's a more technical way to say that. I can't think of it.
Cross-cut.
Cross-cut? Sure, that sounds right, Keenan. And I'm just going to line up the corners and do that across all of my squares. I wish I had, somebody is asking if a ruler is exactly 1 inch wide. Do we have another ruler where we can measure this ruler?
Yes.
I'm making Keenan get up and look to see if we can check to see if what we said is accurate.
I've got to earn my paycheck.
Well, don't get, I don't know about that.
You can draw an inch on there and then see if it's the same.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea.
Use the ruler to draw.
Use the
and
ruler.
then measure the ruler.
I'm doing it. I'm sorry if this is going too off topic, but I feel like this is just too interesting. No, it is not. It's close to it though. Oh, what if I just mark it? It's a little over 1.25 inches. But close.
Nice.
I say that's close enough.
That's close enough.
Okay, and I'm just making sure the corners match on this. Fran was like, not all rulers are the same width. Well, Fran, that's a great point. Touche. Somebody asked what colors we're using. I am just pulling colors from our July subscription box. So, and I'll go through those when we start painting. But you guys are going to choose what color palettes you want to use depending on the feeling of what you want to send her. I am going to stay with the cooler color palette because I feel like feelings of calmness and peace would be really wonderful right now. But you guys can switch that up. Okay, so I have all of my angled lines, and then I'm going to do the same thing going the opposite way. Oh, Keenan, can we get a close-up angle?
Boom. Wish granted.
Thank you.
It just might be delayed for them,
Okay.
but still wish granted. Kathy says, I wonder what Karen's fave colors are.
Oh, wait. Teresa, who is her daughter, just said that the address that is on here already, she has been getting those cards. A new address is preferred, but if you've already sent it with the old address on there, not a big deal. Her mom was able to get them. And Teresa, since you're on here, does your mom have favorite colors? Does she have a color palette that she would prefer? Because we can do that. So if you know that. Keenan, do you know your mom's favorite color?
Red.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
I had to dig, but I got it. It's red.
I feel like my mom's is like blue. I think that's right. Blues.
I think it makes sense. I like the blues because I think what you said, they're calming.
Yeah. Okay. And then I just need to do one more down here.
There's a question
Yes.
about how to make the paint stay when they're done with painting. So like a spray
to
or wax
seal
coat.
it,
Yeah,
yeah.
to seal it.
So there's a couple different sealer sprays, like Krylon makes one, where you just want to make sure that you hold it far away from your thing and try and do an even mist across it. That will make it so water and stuff won't affect it, things like that. It's like a sealer spray. I know that people actually sometimes have been able to mail them in the plastic sleeve, but I think it really depends on your local post office. I think you have to go and ask them if it's possible to leave it in the sleeve. But if I'm being honest, as someone who has received postcards, if they do get a little banged up in the mail, I am not too upset about that. Because again, when we do these postcards, when we take this moment to make something for someone else, it's more about the meaning of knowing that we're coming together as a community to help other people and like brighten their day, as opposed to giving them a perfect painting, because we're not about perfection here. We're not about being good enough to show love. That's not what this is about. So if it doesn't stress you out at the idea of it getting a little maybe mushed or you know, the smeared, then as someone who has received postcards, it never bothered me, and it's always been more about knowing that someone was thinking about me. That's all it is. So, okay. Teresa, I haven't been watching to see if you responded if she has favorite colors. I'm trying. Oh, favorite color is blue. Yes.
How convenient.
That's perfect. Okay, so I'm going to do mostly blues then. And the blue that you got in your July subscription box is azure blue. But I also squirted out some leaf green because then I can make a turquoisey color. And if I wanted it to be even a little bit more yellow, I did a tiny bit of tiger orange. Okay, so these three colors are what I'm working with here. I also put out rose red and pink in case I wanted to add a little bit of pink, but since I know her favorite color is blue, that's what I'm going to stick with. Okay, so now that I have this on my painting, on my postcard, I'm going to start painting. And I'm using a round 6 or a round 2, whichever one you prefer. I feel pretty confident in my ability to get detailed lines with the round 6, so I'm going to use that. But if you struggle with that, there is nothing wrong with using your round 2. So whatever you feel comfortable using. And here's my blue, here's my green, here's my yellow, and I'm just going to start. So I'm going to just start in the middle, and what I did is I just kind of skipped all the areas around it. So it's kind of like a checkerboard but with triangles. So then no color, the only time the colors are touching are in the corners.
I'm going to get in front of the front cam for a second, but we're on the side cam. I want to zoom in a little on top.
Okay, good call. Laura asked if I've already talked about the new address yet. I have not.
We're working on that.
We'll do that at the end. Okay. And then what I really like about doing this also is because it's a great way for you to test color palettes. Also, because I know that sometimes when we go to start a new painting, we're like, what colors should we use, you know, if we're not trying to do exactly the reference photos. And even doing exercises like this, where you can test colors before you actually like do your painting, is a great way to see what colors are going to go well together and how they're going to mesh. And so I'm going to switch up these colors as I go. So the next one I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit more water and a little bit more green to it to make it kind of turquoisey feel. And I'm going to lay that down. And I've talked to some quilters, and they've said that they've even used this, like painting or watercolor, as a way to test colors working together in a quilt before they actually quilt everything. So that's kind of fun too. Okay, this one I'm going to mix a little bit more green into it and a little bit more blue to get a darker value.
Sarah, did you say what your favorite color was?
Oh, my favorite color is yellow. Like a warm yellow. It's just happy.
That is a happy color.
Yeah. Also, I notice when painting this that like I have to, once I start at a little triangle, I have to like keep going from there, because if I try and skip around, I totally mess up the pattern, and I've had to paint this like 4 different times because I'm like, oh, it'd be cool to just do all the colors at once and like skip around, and I messed up the pattern like so bad that I'm like, okay,
connected.
Yeah, I'm like, shoot, it's touching where it shouldn't be touching. So that's what I have to do. And I like to go around and play with different values too. So not only can you guys play with different colors and how these colors kind of blend together and to get different combinations, but also play with the amount of water that you're using or the amount of paint, and you can get lighter and darker values. Tiffany wants to know what Kenan's favorite color is, and I know it to be sunset orange.
True.
Is that true?
Yep, sunset orange, sometimes turquoise, but those are like my two go-tos.
Yeah.
Sunset orange just makes me really happy.
It's just beautiful.
It is.
Also, I learned from another quilter that if we were to do, you see how these squares are kind of squared up, like straight, you know what I'm saying? If we were actually to take this and shift it and angle it, this would be called a pinwheel pattern. So
What?
if you put this at an angle here, you can see where they all meet in the corner right here. If you were to just look at this square, see how it's angled? It looks like a pinwheel now. You could do that. But we started ours out square, so that's why it's an hourglass pattern and not a pinwheel pattern.
Dang, that's cool.
Yeah.
Sarah.
Yes.
Question.
Yes.
Never mind. No question.
No question.
False.
If you guys have questions while we're doing this, I can try and answer them.
Let me see if there's any.
Okay. Since we're kind of just painting these little triangle areas. Heather, somebody asked if you paint. Do you paint?
Me, Kenan? If
Yeah.
Kenan paints?
Yeah.
I have an art journal because I like to be able to keep what I paint.
Yes.
So yeah. I mean, occasionally. I haven't done it in a long time, but.
I felt like we painted, didn't we all paint together last Monday?
Oh, we did do a Monday paint art day.
So we have a company thing on Mondays. We all get together and we paint together, no matter what anyone does for
yeah.
us.
I did a mini. Oh, what was the project?
I feel like
I
you
did a
did a
mini
flower.
version of a project.
Yeah, because he used the bonus item in our July box.
Yeah.
Those little postcard, they weren't postcards, but they're mini paint pads
Yeah.
of Legion in there, Stonehenge Legion. He was painting on those. They turned out great. I think mini paintings are super cute.
I do too.
Oh, wait. Oh, I messed it up.
Did you?
Yes. This guy's supposed to be here.
How can we fix it or just roll with it?
Make it a lighter color.
Ooh.
Yes, okay. I painted the wrong square, and we're gonna make it a lighter color. I wish, okay, that's fine. We're rolling with the punches.
Rolling with the punch.
I'm using just water, and I'm laying it down on this triangle that I just colored, okay? Trying to pick up that paint. Then I'm gonna take my paper towel and blot it.
Stacy asks, will this tutorial be on YouTube so I can do it with my 7-year-old later after we're done with school? We are pretty excited. Yes,
Yes.
it will remain on the YouTubes for a very long time.
Okay, so that was the lightest I can get it. So you could do two things. You can either get bleed-proof white and cover that up. Or what I think I'm going to do actually is I'll do a soft wash on the white areas after. And then that way it's darker colors of blue and green with lighter colors of blue and green.
Ah, nice.
Okay,
Cool.
so I'm just gonna keep on going. I'm gonna let that dry and I'm gonna keep on going with the other areas.
This is tricky.
The patterns.
Yes.
It was so funny because I'm like, since I messed up so many times, like before I painted this, I'm like, okay, Sarah, you have to like be really careful. And I still messed it up. That's okay.
Oscar woke up.
Oscar's here with us. That's our AC.
Julia wants to know how long you've been painting with watercolor.
I started painting with watercolor heavily in 2015. So five years ago. I took a watercolor class in college like 10 years ago, and I did not like it. I really struggled with it because I came from using like oil and acrylic, and it was really frustrating. I couldn't figure out how to effectively use it. So I took the watercolor class. I struggled through it. And then it wasn't until much later when I started to really appreciate like illustration, and a lot of illustrators use watercolor to illustrate, that I started to really kind of fall in love with how it can be used. And also I had a young daughter at home, and it was really difficult to do like oil or acrylic painting with the toddler at home. Because it's messy, and you need a lot of, especially with oil, you need a lot of like chemicals, like paint thinner and stuff like that. And I didn't feel comfortable having that out. So that's why I kind of started watercolor. And now I'm just so in love with it.
So have you, since kids have gotten older, have you started to paint again with other mediums?
I have recently started going back into oil a little bit, but still no, because I don't clean my things up very well, like my acrylic palettes and my oil. And like oil takes a lot of cleaning. Like you need to clean your brushes, and you need to clean like with paint thinners and like scraping and all of this stuff off. I'm not good at that, and I think my husband would like be so like not upset, but kind of like sad, because he knows that he would just have to like clean after me. And I don't want to do that to him. So if I have done any oil, I try and do it like more in my studio and not at home, so then my husband won't have to deal with the mess.
That's very thoughtful. Tara asked, do you know when you'll restock your butcher tray in round 2 and 6?
Ooh, Keenan, do you have that answer?
I do have that answer. I have an approximate date. So we are waiting for the brushes to arrive via ship. They will hopefully be back around August 1st, or the first week of August.
Okay.
So no major guarantee. Things are still kind of delayed in the world, but that's what we're hoping for.
Perfect. Oh, someone said they added some metallic orange to their green blue. That's cool. How did that turn out, Valerie?
Please share it.
Yeah. Sarah says she can't stick around because she has to go on a work call. She would rather be painting, and she needs a bumper sticker that just says, would rather be painting.
That'd be a great bumper sticker.
Marketing, are you?
I need to get on this.
Sarah. I
saw a question a minute ago. Sorry, I interrupted
Yeah, go
you.
ahead.
Does the temperature, and I wish I could find it again, but does the temperature of water matter?
That is a great question. I don't think it necessarily, from what I have experienced, I don't think it necessarily matters for the paints, but for your brushes. You don't want to use super, super hot water because it will then mess with this area where the bristles are glued into I know this name for this part of the brush. I think it starts with an F.
Is it fitment?
Nope.
Is it
Filament?
Phillip.
Fill something.
That's it. Philip.
Yes. The Phillip.
So the super hot water could actually damage your watercolor brushes, and that's if it's like really
Ferrule.
hot.
F-E-R-R-U-L-E.
Ferrule.
Ferrule.
But I haven't noticed a problem with my
Filbert.
paints. So If somebody else knows differently and has done like actual exercises of being like, actually I've painted it one with really hot and one with really cold and there was a difference, please let us know below. We're all about learning here. Furl.
Oh, Jessica asked, will you ever take us on a video tour of your studio? Would love to see how it's set up and organized. Jessica.
We can do that. I just want to let you know though, we're in the back of a store.
I don't want to show them.
So it's a little, it's kind of like a basement, but not a basement.
It's a basement that no one lives in, but we still put all the stuff in it.
And it's dark in here because actually, like when you're filming, the light changes constantly outside and it's really hard to like make it all of the same. So we actually film in a room without windows because it makes it much easier to control the lighting and the temperature.
It's actually called the dungeon, not the studio.
That's sometimes how it feels. That's why we're hesitant to show you, but we're also all about being real here, so we can show you, no problem. Sorry, I'm just seeing if there's any questions.
I don't have any on Facebook right now. Let me see if I can pull up. I'm not Facebook, I meant YouTube.
Somebody asked if I have like any rhyme or reason to like patterning of how I'm placing these colors, and I don't. I just am switching up the color and the value as I'm painting. That's it. But I'm not trying to be like every fourth one at this angle is a dark blue, you know, that kind of thing. You're free to do that. There's nothing wrong with that if you want a very clear pattern. But for me, my goal is just to focus on different colors and different values while I'm painting. And then I'm purposely going to do really dark values all around this area because I got to blend. I want to make this appear lighter.
Do you have a special quilt that someone made for you at any point in your life?
Oh, I have so many. I have a lot of special quilts actually. My mom is a quilter, so I have a quilt that, I have a t-shirt quilt, which is probably one of my favorite quilts from high school or junior high even, of just like my old t-shirts. It's like the comfiest thing in the world.
It sounds comfy.
I also have a marriage quilt that I got as a gift when Michael and I were married. All of my girls have quilts from when they were born. We also got a quilt from Missouri Star when our son Arlo was born. So yeah, I have a lot of quilts and they're just really lovely.
Speaking of Arlo, do you have a good and or valid reason as to why he's not here?
No, I don't.
At least you're being honest. How many children do you have?
I have 3 children, 2 girls that are ages 8 and 5. My 5-year-old just turned 5. And a little boy who is almost 5 months old. So I have 3 kids.
Super cute.
They're really great.
Jessica loves our random lives.
Good.
Jesse, this will be available to watch later.
Yes, all of the lives and videos that we do live on our YouTube channel. So as long as YouTube is still alive, or the internet, / the internet, you can find us on there.
If the internet shuts down,
Yeah.
I don't have an answer for that. Jessica wants to know how everyone and their families are doing at LMA, care about you, and realize the COVID is challenging.
Oh,
It's very thoughtful, Jessica.
that's
Thank you.
so thoughtful, Jessica. I think all of us are handling it in different ways.
In tempos.
Yes. But again, we're doing the best we can. And I also just want to take a shout out to our product team who do a lot of our like sourcing and working with vendors, because like it's still a thing.
Yep.
You know, we're having a really hard time getting product. We're like timelines are getting difficult, all of that kind of stuff. And we've just had to be flexible. And so I just want to thank those people who work on that for Let's Make Art for like just getting it done. You guys are awesome. And we've been able to still provide you guys with most things during this time because of how hard they work. And I really appreciate that. And I appreciate you guys as our customers for being patient and understanding if something is kind of delayed or out of stock. Okay. So somebody noticed that I decided not to use yellow. And yes, once I saw that Karen's favorite color is blue, I thought, okay, I'm just going to stick with greens and blues then and not do the yellow. But of course, this is your painting. You guys can do whatever colors you would like. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back in on my white squares and do a super, super light wash since I accidentally painted the wrong triangle. Okay, and so I'm just going to grab a little bit of paint, really like the tiniest amount because I want this to be super light. And I'm going to start throwing it in there. Now I would like to say too that I think it's important for us as and for me as a teacher and as a company to kind of show you that everybody kind of messes up. We all mess up. And either that means you guys can start over, or it means, you know, let me show you what I do to overcome these mistakes. Like, it was a mistake that I painted that wrong triangle and kind of messed up that pattern. But let me show you how I would react to that, because when you paint things, it's never perfect. There's always something that happens that throws it off. And it's more about how can we adjust and pivot than about like, I'm not made for this because I keep making mistakes. That's not what it is. Everybody makes mistakes, no matter how long you have been painting. If anything, you just learn as you go. And then try and like do little tips and tricks here to kind of hide them, pretty much. That's what we're doing.
Do you want to shift that a little to the right?
Oh yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, that's nice. Kara says, I tell my high school science students the same thing. I always point out my mistakes.
Nice.
That's so great. I think that's really important now to just highlight, yeah, we kind of messed up. That's okay. Nobody is here to get it right perfectly all the time.
It's going to be really hard to continue to do that.
Yeah.
Someone asked what cameras and lighting we use,
Oh,
and I'd like to answer that because that's a fun one.
okay, go ahead, Keenan.
So we use 3 Sony a6300 cameras with various lenses and various lighting. We have some lights that have variable temperatures to make the picture look cooler or warmer. And the kicker that we have is called a Sling Studio, basically a router that has attachments that send the signal from the cameras that aren't directly connected to it and collect that video signal so that we can share all 3 cameras at the same time.
Yes. Thank you, Keenan.
You're welcome.
Okay, I'm getting close to finishing up here. And you'll see that some of my really saturated colors that were really dark value kind of bled a little bit when I did that light wash next to it. And frankly, I think that looks cool.
I do too.
So I'm not stressed about that. If it does stress you out, you could always, when you're going next to really saturated areas and you don't want it to bleed at all, try and leave a really thin white line in between to make sure that it doesn't bleed or doesn't touch. I actually love that so much that I kind of want to recreate that over here. So I'm going to do a darker area kind of on this bottom side. and then touch it with water over here and let that bleed out a little bit. The other thing of like when an accident happens, if it's just one, it looks more like an accident. If you do it on purpose another time, then it looks like you did those things on purpose.
I see.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I know it sounds silly, but like these are legit things that I do while I'm painting because I'm like,
Tricky.
yeah. How could I make it look like I did mean to do that? Oh, I'll do it again. Okay. So here is our postcard for Karen, our Hourglass patterned postcard. So, we can do front facing now for a little bit and I'll talk about the address change.
Okay.
So let me make sure I have the correct address here. Okay, so for Karen, because she does live in a small town, her daughter told us that she has been able to get the postcards. If you've already mailed them with the address that's already there on the back, don't stress. She has been able to get them. But they contacted the post office and the post office said the new address is preferred because it's just easier for them as they're delivering mail if it has the correct address. So her new address, and Keenan, can you type, do you have ability to type and like comment?
I do as Keenan, but not
Okay.
as Let's Make Art.
I think
can
someone at
message.
Let's Make Art is watching and they could type it.
Yep.
But her new address is 104 South Main Street, number 326. And so I thought, I'm like, okay, I can show them a fun way of like covering up an address and like readdressing it on the back. And then I got hit with the cold hard truth that watercolor is transparent. So Keenan, do you want to go overhead? So here's where my idea, because I'm like, oh, I can play with the colors that I used in the quilt and like try and do an ombre and maybe
Good
like
idea.
color over it.
Yeah.
Still see that straight through. And then I'm like, well, what if I did a leaf pattern kind of over the address to like, and then like rewrite the address at the top here. Again, watercolor is transparent. So Nicole, we talked through some tools that you might have at home that can maybe help with this.
Hi everyone. Okay, so here I did a few.
Here, you need to be in the middle here.
A little.
Well, Sarah and I, we were trying to brainstorm because that's what we do, is we just try to problem solve and brainstorm. So you can talk about that one first and then I'll say these ones.
Okay, so our bonus item in our June box is bleed proof white. And so this actually works really well. I had to do a couple of coats here and I just whited out the address line because only the first address line is what actually needs to change. So everything else is the same. So I just kind of played with that and it worked really well. I had to do probably 2 coats.
Yeah, because it's kind of transparent.
Yeah, it's a little bit transparent the first time. So you can just white that out with bleed proof white and then white on top of it. The other one that you can try is if you have a white Posca pen. You want to make sure that you push it to get that paint going. And you can white out. Even standard whiteout would work too. You'd probably need to do a couple coats of that.
Okay, I forgot that whiteout is a thing.
We could just,
I just use whiteout.
whiteout is a thing, so you could do that.
That might also take a couple layers.
Yeah, that would need to take a couple of layers. And then I thought like, it was funny because I'm like, I'll hand letter the address using this paintbrush and paints next to it. Super difficult, you guys. So difficult. So I'm not going to make you do that. If anything, it's probably easier. The easiest way is to use whiteout, bleed proof white, or even a black Sharpie, cross off that first address line, and then write in black ink the correct address just right on top of it. But Nicole actually did a couple of things too.
Well, I was trying to experiment. I was like, maybe you guys have different type of tools or supplies that you have in addition to your watercolors. So one of them is I was trying to do the same type of triangle
That's
look
fun.
as your quilt. So
Yeah.
this is actually with Tombow markers. And so I realized these you can do with watercolors, but this was just, if you have a really dark color, whether it's black or this was just a dark blue and I had to do a few coats of it. So that's an option. And then I used a silver Uniball, a gel pen. If you have a white gel pen, that might work. The silver, or actually the gold, would also work. So this one you will have to write it. I know you can do it. So you will just have to do that. And so I thought because the one that we were doing it on was just another example that we had. But because you have her whole address, I thought instead of doing just a square to mimic the same shape. So that's why I did a line here and then I connected it here to make a triangle.
Oh, cool. Okay, yes.
So that's an option. And then another one is just to cut out another piece of cardstock.
And someone even said here that if they have a label sticker, you can just put a sticker label right over that too and right on top. So
ideas.
Thank you for all those ideas.
Yeah, and if you guys have other ideas, we would love to hear them. I know that even sometimes people will put these postcards in envelopes and mail them like that. And I think you can even transfer the stamp sometimes, depending on your post office. And so you can just correctly write the address on the front. So again, that address is 104th South Main Street, number 326. The city, state, and zip is the same, so you don't have to worry about changing that. And then, Keenan, do you want to do front camera? And I'll talk about what Let's Make Art Matter is, because we haven't really talked about that. Okay, great. Nicole, thank you so much. Welcome. Thank you for teamwork. Yeah, somebody says they could just write on paper and tape over it, all of this. Yeah, these are great. We thank you guys for being so flexible. We thank Karen's family for being flexible with us too, as we had that address change. And if you guys are new and you're not entirely sure what Let's Make Art Matter is, what we do as a company is every single one of our subscription boxes, we include a pre-stamped and pre-addressed postcard, and we choose a recipient to receive that postcard. And so the whole idea is I have learned in my life and my career as an artist that art can connect people in ways that you might not anticipate. I learned through, people experiencing hardships or going through a hard time that it's confusing as a friend because we worry if we're going to say the wrong thing. But we want them to know that we love them, and we want them to know that we're thinking about them. And sometimes we get so scared about saying the wrong thing that we tend to say nothing at all. And I learned that I don't have to say the perfect thing, but just letting them know that I'm thinking about them and I care about them is really what they need. So that's why we do this. We do this so we can come together as a community and just let someone know that we are thinking about them, and we can use art and communicate through our art instead of having to have the right answers all the time, because nobody does. Nobody has the right answers all the time. So if you have someone that you would love to nominate for this, you can go to our website, letsmakeart.com. You scroll to the bottom and there's a nominate button there that you can do. But the whole idea is just to send some love to someone. And it doesn't have to be, it can be anything. We can be celebrating with them. Maybe it's somebody's 50th year wedding anniversary, or maybe it's your 4-year-old's birthday and they just really would love some birthday cards. Teacher Appreciation Day. Teacher Appreciation Day. There's someone that you know that just is working really hard and they deserve a shout out. Or maybe it's someone that you do know is going through a hard time and you just want to lift them up and show that you love them. So, if you can think of someone who can benefit from just a little bit of an extra love for whatever reason, either it's to celebrate or to just send some support, both are appreciated, and you can go to our website to do that. And I love that you guys take time out of your day to do this, because I truly believe the more that we can think of ourselves as a community and think of ourselves as showing up for each other, even though we don't know each other, that's just a small way that we can make the world a kinder place. And I think that if you start doing this maybe with your children or grandchildren or neighbors, service is a wonderful way to show love. And I think it just teaches that we can make the world a kinder place. And it doesn't take a lot. It just takes time to think of someone else and do something for something else. And that's it. So you guys are absolutely wonderful for doing this with us, painting for this with us. The Let's Make Art community is amazing and supportive and wonderful because of you. You absolutely are the reason why we are able to lift people up, because you do this with us, and we wouldn't be anything if you guys didn't take the time to do that. So you are wonderful. Thank you. Let's keep going. Let's keep showing support. If you can think of someone to nominate, please go to our website and visit. If you need the new address, it is posted on our comments. We didn't put a last name, so it's just her first name. And I think that is all I need to say. Can you guys think of anything else?
I can think of nothing.
Okay. Nicole, thank you for your help and for helping me problem solve. Keenan, thank you for your camera work.
Thank you.
And your camera information.
Yes, you're welcome.
And you guys, thank you for being here with me. And I'll see you next week this week we release our new tutorial. So
Wednesday what day?
Wednesday what day? We're doing our watercolor wheat field. So we'll see you then. You guys